Hey guys, it's me, back at it again. I got Arlo Finch in the Valley of Fire, John August, Chapter 2, Reasonable Questions. I just felt like today would be a good day to read a little bit more about this book because it's an excellent book and it's been too long since I read a chapter. So, here we go. Reasonable Questions. Dinner that night was spaghetti, with Arlo's favorite brand of sauce from a jar. Even though he had used a plastic fork because Uncle Wade only owned three metal forks, and even though the milk came in a thick glass bottle rather than a carton, Arlo was grateful that dinner at least tasted familiar. They ate at the dining room table with Uncle Wade's taxidermy animals watching them from the floor. It's weird enough when regular animals watch you eat and they just kind of do that staring thing where they watch you and they're hoping that you'll give them a little food. But to have it be like dead animals that have been stuffed and taxidermied, that's an extra layer of weird. Taxidermy was a word Arlo learned that night. It meant taking dead animals and making it look like they were still alive by stuffing it with sawdust and sewing it back together. It was what Uncle Wade did for money, but it was also his passion and his art, and the reason why Arlo and JC were never to go to his workshop. There were dangerous chemicals inside, explained Uncle Wade, and sharp knives and power tools. JC and Arlo both promised to stay out, which shouldn't be that hard because kind of sounds like Texas Chainsaw Massacre-y. Not good. JC asked for the Wi-Fi password. Uncle Wade said the house didn't have the internet. They were too far from town to run the wires, but he'd never really gotten the point of it anyway. Arlo once saw a movie with a monster called Medusa who could turn a man to stone just by looking at him. That's the way JC stared at Uncle Wade when he said that there was no internet. Unlike the movie, though, Uncle Wade didn't turn to stone, or even seem to notice, really. He simply helped himself to another plate of spaghetti, obviously oblivious to her petrifying gaze. Frustrated, JC turned to their mother. "I'm sorry, JC," she said. "That's just the way it is. Maybe you can use your phone." "But phones don't work either. There's no signal. It's these stupid mountains." Uncle Wade pointed to an old-style phone on the kitchen wall, the kind with the curly wire connected to the handset. "We got a phone right there. Works great. Just keep it under 5 minutes in case someone's calling for an order." JC looked like she might cry, or explode, or both at the same time. Mom attempted to calm her down. "You can get a signal in town. I just tried at the grocery store. I got 3 bars there. Plus, I'm sure you'll have internet at school for doing research papers." "We got encyclopedias too," said Uncle Wade. "Good ones with the gold on the edges. The M's in 2 parts, and one of 'em's missing. I think the second one. So if you need to do a report on Montana, you're out of luck. But Mississippi, Missouri, or Michigan, you're gold." While Uncle Wade was speaking, Arlo raised his hand. He had an important question and didn't want to go unaddressed. His mother nodded at him. Without the internet, how are we going to talk to Dad?" he asked. Arlo and JC's father was in China. He'd been there for 3 years, ever since the FBI had come to arrest him at his office in Philadelphia. They hadn't succeeded because he was already on a flight out of the country. The government said their father had broken the law by using computers to crack secret codes or something. Lots of people said that what Arlo's father did wasn't a crime, but he couldn't risk coming back to the United States and being arrested. So he was in China, indefinitely, which Arlo learned was a word people used that meant more or less forever. And that's how it felt, both endless and impermanent. Arlo's family had always moved around a lot, but once his dad left, the moves became more frequent. First Philadelphia, then Chicago, a series of tiny apartments and houses shared with strangers. By his third school, he stopped trying to make new friends at all. He knew he would be unlikely to stay around long enough to make the effort worthwhile. Through it all, the one constant was calling Dad. Every Sunday morning, they video chatted with their father on the computer. He would carry his laptop to the window of his little apartment in Guangzhou to show them the city lights. It was night there, and tell Arlo about the weird food he'd eaten, and ask how things were going in school. His dad taught him phrases in Chinese, including What he claimed were the swear words. Without the internet, how could they make their weekly call to China? "We'll figure it out," said his mom. Just then the lights flickered before going out completely. The room was dark except for the dim moonlight streaming through the sliding glass door. "It's just the wind," said Uncle Wade. "Power will be back on in a second." Arlo started silently counting. He could hear his uncle's fork twirling spaghetti on his plate. He could hear J.C. breathing and the squeak of his mother's chair. And under all that, he heard the wind rattling the windows. Arlo got to about 50 before he stopped. The lights weren't coming back on. "Hold on," said Uncle Wade, pushing his chair back from the table. "I got flashlights." JC and Arlo washed the dishes by light of the battery-powered lantern. "Mom is losing it," said JC as she rinsed off the bubbles. "No, she's not," said Arlo. Their mother couldn't be losing it because JC had said she had lost it back in Chicago, and that was 8 days ago. Once you've lost something, you can't keep losing it again and again. Arlo wasn't even sure what it actually was, but it had something to do with their mom throwing a chair through a window. Or maybe at a window? He knew the incident involved a chair, a window, and a preposition, and that was bad enough that his mom needed to stop working at the insurance company. Within a few days, they had sold their furniture through online ads and rented a U-Haul trailer to carry what was left to Colorado. "Listen, Arlo," said JC with a low voice that meant it was important. "We're going to have to help out a lot more now. Mom's under a lot of stress, and we can't be adding to it. So if anything comes up, we're just going to have to deal with it ourselves and not bother her." Arlo was shocked to hear his sister speaking this way, especially after her freak out over the internet. This was the same girl who had shouted at Mom at least twice a week, usually about rules and responsibilities. Why was she suddenly lecturing Arlo on cooperation? "Mom doesn't want to be here, obviously," said JC. "We would have come here years ago if this place wasn't the absolute last resort. It was this or be homeless." "It's not that bad," said Arlo. "Dad sends as much money as he can, and it's not enough. That's why I'm going to get a job after school." "Doing what?" "I don't know. At the store or something." "But you hate people." JC wasn't offended. "We're all going to have to adjust. You can't be pestering Mom with every little thing. If kids at school are mean, just tough it out. If you start hearing voices again, just ignore them." "I haven't heard voices in a long time." "Hmm. Good," said JC, "because Mom can't handle anything more." There's a break in the page here. Arlo was too old and mature to need tucking in, but he didn't object when his mother came upstairs to see how he had unpacked. By flashlight, he showed her how he had sorted his clothes from head to toe, with shirts and hats going in the top drawer, pants in the middle, socks and underwear in the bottom drawer. Logically, underwear belonged in the middle drawer, but there was more room in the sock drawer. Besides, he often put his socks and underwear on at the same time, so it saved opening another drawer. His mom agreed. It just made sense. "I was thinking, Arlo," she said, "the diner in town has really good pancakes. I bet they have Wi-Fi, too. Maybe on Sundays we could go there with the computer to call your dad. It would be like he's having breakfast with us." Arlo thought that was a great idea. More than that, it sounded like the kind of suggestion his mother used to make, combining something fun, pancakes, with something important, calling Dad. Whatever the it was that his mother had lost, maybe she was getting it back. He wanted to tell her about the dog he'd seen, the one Uncle Wade said was dead, but he didn't want to say anything that might worry her. So he climbed into his almost too soft bed. He decided to ask it as a question. "Mom, did you ever have a dog?" His mom sat on the edge of the bed. She was lit only by the glow of moonlight from the window. "When I was in college, my roommates and I had a dog. Her name was Rosie. She was a stray we found. She ended up sort of being our house mascot. Whenever we'd have a party, she was in every picture. I graduated and moved away, but she stayed at the house with the new batch of roommates. That's where she belonged." "How about when you were a kid? Did you have a dog then?" asked Arlo. "Sort of. He was mostly an outdoor dog. He only came in if it was a huge snowstorm. Even then, he sort of hid." "What was his name?" "Cooper," she answered. Arlo's heart skipped. His uncle was telling the truth. There really was a dog named Cooper. That was the dog he'd seen. Why do you ask? Arlo was not sure how to answer without saying too much. Luckily, his mom kept talking. Were you thinking we should get a dog? Because we could, I guess. There's plenty of room. But we should probably get settled in here first, don't you think? Buy some forks and wash our clothes? Arlo agreed. His mother neatened his hair. I know it's scary being in a new town, a new school, new friends. But we're kind of experts at that now, right? Arlo smiled. And I have a feeling this is going to be good. I know this house looks kind of rickety, but it's solid and it's safe. And we're going to be fine. She offered him the flashlight. He was happy she had. He'd been too embarrassed to ask for it. She kissed him on the forehead and made her way to the door. He lit her path. Just before she shut the door, he asked, Is the forest safe? She paused a moment. Of course it is, she answered. Just stay where you can see the house. Don't want you getting lost. Blowing a kiss, she quietly shut the door. After a few moments, Arlo slid out of bed and opened the window. The moon was nearly full. As bright as it was, the lights died at the edge of the forest. It was a wall of darkness, stirring only by breezes. Under the wind, he could hear strange birds calling, an engine on the distant road. A beam from his flashlight lit the area right beneath the window, but couldn't reach the spot where he'd seen the dog. He suddenly imagined what it would look like from the other side, what a creature, watching from the forest, would see. A bright light on the second-story window, slowly moving back and forth. It might look like an invitation of sorts. Arlo switched off the flashlight and shut the window quickly, drawing the drapes closed. He climbed back into bed and slept all night without having a single dream. And that's the end of chapter 2 of Arlo Finch in the Valley of Fire. Next chapter, chapter 3, School, where normally we wish we weren't, but after about a week in quarantine, I think we can all agree that we really wish that we could go back. Well, that's all for tonight. If you get a chance, pick this book up, Arlo Finch, The Valley of Fire by John August. It's really, really good. All I got to say is get some sleep. Stay safe. Peace.